You're watching Final Score with Wes Moore on Fox 16.
There was a lot of hype coming into week 5 of the high school football season, and I'll tell you what, it did not disappoint. Scooter Register back to break it all down. Did you catch any of these exciting games on Friday night?
I caught you on TV, and as I mentioned to you before we went on the air today, I don't think I've ever seen you so excited as you were Friday night, both the early show and the late show. But what a football game you saw! I mean, it was just unbelievable football, and I'm talking about two really good football teams and a matchup, state championship from the previous year, and a game that went down the wire that had a lot of irony to it. And I think the thing that I took from reading about it and the game is the coach from Little Rock Christian was his kids the will to win. They never gave up because they knew they were up against a formidable opponent in PA, and it was it was just a great night for people that watched that game. I've seen a lot of people this weekend, and that's all they've been talking about is that football game. So it was an outstanding game, and the irony of that game to me was that it came down to the kicking game. Little Rock Christian had driven down and scored and made it 61-54. So they got back in the ball game, and then they go down and they score again. They get the onside kick, go down and score, and go. No, I'm sorry, they didn't get the onside kick then. Did they get two? I can't remember.
I'm trying to. It was such a long game. It was a long game. A lot of things happened. Anyway, I'm still trying to think back.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, we'll get it right. We know they went for two. They missed the onside kick and got it and drove down. And with 8 seconds to go, Isaiah Hankins kicked a 34-yard field goal. So, and I will say this: that Coach Kelly's 52-2 when he gets 2 onside kicks. He got 2 the other night. Still, the percentages are in his favor. But again. What two outstanding football teams that played in that ball game. I mean, both teams played hard.
Oh, no question about that. And I think I said this on Friday night too. Hands down, the best game I have covered this is now my 4th season doing Fearless Friday. I mean, I doubt anything is going to top that game. And I think the big turning point in that one was Little Rock Christian was down, I believe, 54-40. And they got that pick 6 on that double pass. I think that changed the momentum in that game.
Yeah, that probably was a turning point in that game, and it kind of rejuvenated them. And so really, in their mind, they thought they had a chance to win. And I look for us to see these two teams again.
Oh, no question. I would not be surprised one bit if we see them again at War Memorial Stadium in December. Okay, meanwhile, just up the road, Arkadelphia holds off Joe T. Robinson in a rematch of the 4A title game from last year.
Yeah, and this game was back and forth, and again, it was decided by the kicking game, and you can't put enough emphasis on the kicking game. Arkadelphia blocks an extra point that would have tied the game and probably sent it to overtime. But I think just reading about that game, it's Arkadelphia just again overcome a lot of adversity. They lost Cannon, the quarterback. They lost their quarterback in the second quarter, didn't play. The backup guy came in and did a great job. In fact, I think he had 105 yards in the second half total. So, again, 2 top 4A schools. Now, the key to this one is going to be how well Joe T. Robinson bounces back this week because they got Nashville coming to town, and Arkadelphia's already played Nashville. So, if you get 2 losses, it's going to be hard to win that conference championship. So Joe T will have to be prepared as Nashville had beaten Arkadelphia the week before. So, again, 2 really good 4A teams battling it out.
Any update on Cannon Turner? I don't know if you've heard anything.
I have not. I have not. I hadn't seen anything on social media, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably should have. I saw a bunch of people from Arkadelphia at the state baseball tournament this weekend, but I didn't. We didn't talk about football, so that I don't know. But he'll have his team ready. Arkadelphia will be ready because they faced adversity last year by being 0-5, so they understand that. They're a very good football team, so we'll see how they bounce back.
That's going to be a great game between Joe T. Robinson and Nashville. Let's go to a tight one in the 7A early on between North Little Rock and Conway, but the Charging Wildcats get the victory in that one.
That's right, and they did it with a backup quarterback, and they did it with a third string tailback. Now we know that those two teams, Conway and North Little Rock, are both very good defensive football teams. And I think one of the key components in that game was that North Little Rock held Conway, not just the 22 yards rushing, but 22 yards of total offense in the second half. Conway scores first, goes up 7-0. North Little Rock scores, they kick the field goal, make it 10-7, and then they scored a late touchdown to go ahead 17-7. And Coach Mitchell talked about how his team finished. And that was a key component. He just liked their attitude and how they finished the game. So North Little Rock is going to be a formidable opponent down the stretch here, and we'll talk in a minute about how close the 7A Central Conference is, because it's going to be something, and it all starts this week.
No question about that. Let's look ahead to this week. Do you have any? What are some of the biggest games that you're looking forward to this week?
Well, let's talk about the 7A Central. I'm saying this is a jumble in the middle, because you got Bryan at 2-0, and then you've got 5 teams that are 1-1, but they're going to play each other. Central's 1-1, big win at Northside this past week, 35-28. So they're at home this week, and so they've got Bryant coming to town. So Central will be tested, no question about it. Conway's 1-1. They go to Cabot, who's 1-1. Catholic is 1-1. They've got Northside coming to town. North Little Rock's 1-1, and they've got Southside. So, and then Cabot, as I mentioned, Cabot's 1-1. Now, for the first time, both Fort Smith schools are 0-2. So there is a chance that if they don't win, then both of those schools could be 0-3 going into the 4th week of the conference. So it's a big shake-up there. I tell you, another team close by that people probably need to keep an eye on is Bauxite Miners. They moved to 2-0. They're in that rugged 7-4A with Joe T and Arkadelphia. They're 4-0, but their last 3 weeks of the season, they've got Robinson, Arkadelphia, and Nashville in that order. Oof. So he could, win his next 2 ball games and be set in a pretty good position. McClellan goes to the Queen and wins 60-0. They got back on the winning track. Also, another big game in the area will be Harrison coming to Bologna. Now, Harrison's undefeated. They've got a great running back. Bologna is playing very well right now. I think they lost their first 2 ball games, but they're 3-2, and so I look for that to be a good ball game. Also, a team in the 6A West, El Dorado, had the ball down 31-24 at Greenwood, and they stripped the quarterback. Kid takes it all the way, so they end up losing that ball game like 52-34, I think. But El Dorado is 1-4, and they've got to come to Sheridan. Sheridan's playing very well, so it's a big ball game. It's almost a must-win game for El Dorado this week. If not, they're going to be behind the 8 ball, and they'll be fighting for a playoff spot. And another big game in the area close by is Jonesboro comes to Pine Bluff. Pine Bluff's 2-0. Jonesboro's 2-0. They've got an outstanding football team. Pine Bluff started out behind 8 ball. They lost their first 3, but they've won 2 in a row under Rod Stinson. So there's a lot of really good football going on in the area this week.
Man, no question about that. And I think I say this every single week. I kind of sound like Rex Nelson at the Little Rock Touchdown Club, except go out and see a college football game, go out and see a high school football game on Friday.
One other thing I'd like to put in here. Tuesday at 5:30 at Scott Field, you've got 2 of the better middle school teams in Pulaski Heights and Dunbar. Dunbar's undefeated, unscored on. And so they're going to be playing a key middle school game here in Little Rock on Tuesday. So that game will probably start about 6:45. They play 7th grade game first. But 2 really good middle school football teams that are going after it, and both of them are doing really good.
A lot of great football to catch this weekend if you want to go catch any sort of game. Coach, appreciate it as always. Thank you so much. All right, stick around. Much more Final Score with Wes Moore when we come back.